We followed a lonely Caleb on his impulsive trip to Vancouver to see Ashley. After a perfect day of reconnecting, a night of drinking led to some raw, honest confessions and a passionate, unforgettable kiss. But it all ended in a morning of sober panic, with Caleb fleeing back to Alberta after leaving Ashley with only a cryptic note that said, "We need to talk." We were left on a massive cliffhanger as he made a frantic call to Ty, declaring, "I think me and Ashley are back." If you missed a single second of that whirlwind romance, the link to the full story is in the description below. If you're enjoying the series, please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe so you never miss what happens next. Today, we see the immediate aftermath of that panicked phone call, as Caleb runs from his feelings and a heartbroken Ashley wakes up to a mystery. Let's get into the story. Caleb hung up the phone, the sleepy, confused voice of his best friend still echoing in his ear. The first gray light of dawn was beginning to seep through the expensive floor-to-ceiling blinds of Ashley's apartment, illuminating the chaos of his own mind. He stood in the middle of the vast, silent living room, his heart hammering against his ribs with a frantic, panicked rhythm. The drunken, romantic haze of the night before had completely evaporated, replaced by the cold, harsh, and terrifyingly clear light of day. What have I done? The thought was a relentless, punishing drumbeat in his head. He replayed the events of the night in a series of disjointed, vivid flashes. The laughter, the dancing, the raw, honest, and alcohol-fueled confessions on her sofa, and then the kiss. A kiss that had felt like a key turning in a lock he had thought was rusted shut forever. He remembered the feeling of her in his arms, the overwhelming sense of rightness, of coming home. But this wasn't home. Home was a dusty ranch in the Alberta foothills. Home was a quiet, empty house that was a constant, painful reminder of his own failures as a husband and a father. This place, this beautiful, sophisticated apartment with its panoramic view of a sleeping city, was her world. A world he had just charged back into like a runaway bull. The panic began to spiral, his mind a racetrack of worst-case scenarios. He had just gotten out of a messy, soul-crushing divorce. The wounds were still raw. Was he really ready to dive headfirst into the beautiful, complicated, and potentially heartbreaking wreckage of his first marriage? He thought of Ashley sleeping peacefully in the other room, and a wave of protective terror washed over him. What if he hurt her again? What if he wasn't the man she deserved? What if he was just doomed to repeat the same selfish rodeo-chasing mistakes that had destroyed them the first time? He couldn't do it. He couldn't face her. Not now. Not with his head pounding and his soul twisted into a knot of fear and confusion. He needed to run. He needed the open road. He needed the familiar, grounding sight of the mountains and the prairies. He needed to get back to his own world to even begin to make sense of what had just happened in hers. His decision made, he moved with the quiet, desperate urgency of a man escaping the scene of a crime. He found his jeans and shirt discarded in a heap on the floor and pulled them on, his hands trembling slightly. Every small sound, the soft rustle of fabric, the quiet clink of his belt buckle, sounded like a gunshot in the silent, sleeping apartment. He scribbled a hasty three-word note on a pad by her phone, the words a monument to his own cowardice. "We need to talk." He propped it up on the kitchen counter, a stark white flag of his own panicked retreat. He took one last, long and guilt-ridden look at the closed bedroom door, and then he quietly let himself out, the soft click of the lock echoing behind him like a final judgment. The long drive back to Alberta was a special kind of hell. As he guided his truck through the awakening city and onto the highway that led east, his mind was a relentless torment. He drove for hours through the majestic, awe-inspiring beauty of the Canadian Rockies, but he saw none of it. He didn't see the way the morning sun set the snow-capped peaks on fire. He didn't see the brilliant, impossible turquoise of the glacier-fed lakes. He was a man trapped in his own internal landscape of regret and fear, the stunning beauty of the outside world a cruel, mocking contrast to the chaos within. Back in Vancouver, Ashley woke up slowly, a soft, contented smile on her face. She reached a hand out to the other side of the bed, her fingers finding only cool, empty sheets. She sat up, her brow furrowing in confusion.
Caleb?
Her voice was a soft, sleepy murmur. The only answer was the distant, lonely sound of a seagull crying outside her window. She got out of bed, pulling on a silk robe, a small, hopeful smile still on her lips. He was probably in the kitchen, she thought, attempting to make coffee, a charmingly clumsy cowboy in her sleek, modern world. She walked into the living area. It was empty. The apartment was pristine, silent, exactly as it had been before he'd arrived. Save for the two empty whiskey glasses still sitting on the coffee table, the only tangible evidence of the passionate, world-altering night they had just shared. Her smile faltered. A cold, familiar feeling of disappointment began to creep into her heart. And then she saw it. The small, white square of paper propped up against a fruit bowl on her kitchen island. She walked over, her heart pounding a new, anxious rhythm. She picked it up, 3 words scrawled in his messy, almost illegible handwriting. "We need to talk." She stared at the note, the words blurring in her vision. The hope, the joy, the incredible brilliant light from the night before was extinguished in an instant, replaced by a cold, familiar ache. She sank onto one of the bar stools, the note still clutched in her hand, the vast, beautiful, and suddenly very lonely city of Vancouver stretching out before her. The sun was just beginning its slow climb into the vast Alberta sky when Caleb's dusty, road-weary truck finally rumbled up the long Heartland driveway. He killed the engine, and for a long moment he just sat there, the profound silence of the ranch a stark contrast to the frantic, chaotic noise that had been raging in his own head for the last 12 hours. He was exhausted. His body ached from the marathon drive, his clothes were wrinkled and smelled of stale coffee, and his soul was a tangled mess of joy, regret, and pure, uncut panic. He had run all the way home, but he had no idea what he was running from, or what he was running to. The front door of the main house opened, and Ty stepped out onto the porch. He wasn't smiling, but his expression was one of quiet, steady, and profound friendship. He held a steaming mug of coffee in one hand. He had clearly been waiting for him. The simple, solid presence of his best friend was the first truly calming thing Caleb had felt since he'd woken up in Ashley's apartment. He finally summoned the strength to get out of the truck, his movements stiff and slow.
Rough trip?
You have no idea, man. No idea.
Ty just nodded, a deep, knowing understanding in his eyes. He handed Caleb the hot mug, its warmth a small, welcome comfort in his trembling hands.
Come on, let's talk.
He led Caleb not into the busy house, where the questions and the well-meaning concerns of the family would be too much to bear, but to a quiet, private spot, 2 old wooden chairs set up by the main paddock fence, overlooking the horses who were grazing peacefully in the golden morning light. They sat down, and for a long time, Caleb just drank the hot, strong coffee, letting the familiar sights and sounds of home, the nicker of a horse, the scent of hay on the breeze, the vast open space, slowly begin to untangle the knots in his soul. Ty didn't push. He just waited, a silent, patient anchor in his friend's turbulent sea. He knew that the story, when it was ready, would come pouring out, and it did.
I'm an idiot, Tyak. It was like no time had passed, you know? We were just us again. It was the best day I've had in years, maybe ever.
He then described the drunken, honest conversation on her sofa, the raw vulnerability of finally telling someone the whole messy, painful story of his divorce from Cassandra.
And she got it, man. She didn't judge me. She just listened. And she told me about her own stuff, how lonely she's been. And then I told her I still had feelings for her. It all just came out.
He looked at Ty, his eyes wide with the memory of it.
And she kissed me, Ty. And it wasn't just a kiss. It was, I don't know, man. It was like a lightning strike, everything.
He dropped his head into his hands, the memory of the subsequent morning a fresh wave of shame.
And then I woke up this morning, and she was there, sleeping next to me. And all I could think was, I'm gonna screw this up again. All I could see was lawyers, and fighting, and another messy ending. I freaked out. I panicked. I ran. I left a stupid 3-word note, and I ran like a damn kid.
He finally finished, the whole messy, wonderful, and terrifying story laid bare in the cool morning air. He looked up at his best friend, his face a mask of exhaustion and self-recrimination, fully expecting a lecture, some hard advice, maybe even a well-deserved "I told you so." Instead, after a long, thoughtful silence, Ty started to chuckle. It was a low, quiet sound at first, a single unexpected bark of humor, and then it grew into a deep, genuine, and truly heartfelt laugh. It wasn't a laugh of mockery. It was a laugh of pure, unadulterated recognition. Caleb stared at him, completely bewildered, a new layer of confusion added to his already chaotic state of mind.
What? What's so funny? Did you not hear the part where I just torpedoed the one good thing that's happened to me in years? I blew up my entire life and you're laughing at me?
No, man. I'm not laughing at you.
Tai said, wiping a tear of mirth from the corner of his eye, his laughter finally subsiding into a wide, empathetic grin.
I'm laughing at us. Look at us. We think we're these tough, seen-it-all cowboys. We can break wild horses. We can face down a charging bull. We can survive anything the world throws at us. But when it comes to the women we love, we are a complete and utter disaster. A hot mess, both of us.
He looked at Caleb, and his smile was full of a deep, brotherly affection and unspoken acknowledgement of their shared, flawed humanity.
You think you're the only one who's been panicking, running away and making huge, life-altering decisions based on a toxic cocktail of fear and whiskey? Welcome to the club, buddy. I'm the president.
The simple, profound act of solidarity, of Tai putting his own recent disastrous struggles on the same level, was exactly what Caleb needed. The tension in Caleb's shoulders visibly released. He looked at the absurd, ridiculous, and terrifyingly romantic situation he had just created for himself, and he too started to see the dark, tragic humor in it all. A small, disbelieving smile touched his lips, and then he started to laugh too. It was a laugh of pure, unadulterated relief, the sound of two best friends finding a moment of shared, cathartic humor in the beautiful, chaotic mess of their own lives. The panic wasn't gone, but it was no longer a terrifying monster. It was just a story. A crazy, unbelievable story he now had someone to share it with. He looked over at his best friend, who was leaning back in his chair, a relaxed, genuine smile on his face. The change in him from just a few weeks ago was nothing short of miraculous. The haunted, distant man was gone, replaced by someone who seemed settled, centered. The quiet confidence that had always defined Tai was back, but it was different now, tempered by a new, hard-won wisdom. For the first time, Caleb felt like he was truly talking to the old Tai again, and with that realization came a new wave of curiosity.
So for real now.
He began, his tone shifting from the earlier humor to one of genuine, friendly concern.
You laughed, but you never said. What's the deal with you and that Nathan guy? Are you and Amy really okay?
Tai's smile didn't falter, but his eyes grew more serious. He looked out at the vast, sun-drenched expanse of the Heartland fields, a quiet, thoughtful expression on his face. He knew that for their friendship to be truly whole again, there could be no more secrets. Caleb had just laid his entire messy, vulnerable heart at his feet. Now it was his turn.
Yeah, man, we are. We're better than okay. We're getting there.
He took a deep breath and began to tell his own story, his own tale of romantic folly and hard-won clarity. He trusted Caleb completely, and he held nothing back. He told him about the weeks of his Cold War, of the profound, mistaken certainty he'd had that Amy had moved on, that her heart now belonged to Nathan. He explained the twisted, self-sacrificing logic of his decision to let her go, a decision he had thought was an act of noble love.
I was a complete idiot, man. I had it all figured out in my own head. I had the whole story written. The tragic returned husband steps aside so his wife can be happy with the new stable guy. I was so convinced I was doing the right thing, the honorable thing. So I did what any rational, clear-thinking man would do. I got drunk and handed him my wife like she was a prize in a raffle. I told him he'd earned her, that she was his now.
Caleb winced, a look of pained recognition on his face.
Dude, that's even worse than my note.
Way worse.
Tai agreed with a small, wry smile. He went on telling Caleb about the interventions from Tim and Jack, the two wildly different but equally necessary pieces of advice he had received. He talked about the Mustang rescue, about the powerful, healing hug with his family, and about the quiet, patient gestures of love from Amy that had finally blessedly broken through his thick skull. And then he told him about the final, most important part, the part that had happened just a few days ago.
So I went to see him. Nathan. I had to. I had to unring that bell. I met him down by the river, and I laid it all out, apologized for being a drunken fool, and I told him I had been wrong about everything. I told him I was fighting for my family, for my wife, and that I was officially, formally, taking my blessing back.
What'd he do? Did he get mad?
No,
Tai said, a look of genuine respect in his eyes.
he was a good guy about it. A really good guy. He said he was glad that all he ever wanted was for Amy to be happy.
He finished the story and then told him about the final, terrifyingly honest conversation he'd had with Amy, where he had confessed everything, laying all of his own mistakes and insecurities bare.
I told her the whole messy, stupid story. And she looked at me, and she told me I was a beautiful, heartbreaking idiot. And she forgave me.
He finished his story, and the two friends sat in a profound, comfortable silence. All the secrets were finally out between them. They were no longer just sharing stories of their romantic follies. They were sharing stories of their healing, of their growth, of the hard, painful work of becoming better men.
Wow. So you're really back.
Yeah, man, we're really back. It's a long road, but we're walking it together now. No more secrets.
They stood up then, the coffee long since gone cold, and walked over to the fence, their shoulders almost touching. They leaned against the top rail, two cowboys looking out at the familiar, peaceful landscape of their home. The sun was warm on their faces, and the vast, open sky seemed to stretch on forever.
4 years, man.
He said, shaking his head in disbelief.
I still can't wrap my head around it. So much happened.
Tell me about it. I feel like I'm playing catch-up with the whole world. With my own daughter. Some days it feels like I've been back for 5 minutes, and other days it feels like I never left. It's a weird, messed up feeling.
Well, you're back now. That's all that matters. I wish I could have been there for you, man, through whatever you went through.
You're here now, buddy. That's what counts.
He turned and, without any of the awkwardness of their first reunion, he pulled Caleb into a powerful brotherly hug. It wasn't the frantic, shocked embrace of their initial meeting. This was a quiet, deliberate, and deeply meaningful hug. It was a hug of shared struggle, of mutual respect, and of an unbreakable friendship that had, like Ty himself, miraculously survived an impossible situation. When they pulled apart, the last of the turmoil between them was gone, replaced by the easy, unshakable comfort of a bond that had been forged in fire and had come out stronger. They were brothers, and they were finally, truly back on solid ground. The powerful brotherly hug eventually subsided, leaving Ty and Caleb standing by the paddock fence in a state of quiet, profound solidarity. The morning sun was climbing higher in the sky, burning off the last of the morning mist, and the whole of Heartland seemed to hum with a peaceful, industrious energy. All the secrets were out, all the pain had been shared. For the first time in a long time, both men felt a sense of clarity, of being truly, completely understood. They stood in a comfortable silence for a while, just looking out at the familiar, peaceful landscape. The conversation about the last 4 years, about their shared and separate struggles, had been a necessary healing purge.
It's good to have you back, man. For real, this place, it wasn't the same without you.
It's good to be back. I have a lot of time to make up for. A lot of mistakes to unmake.
Join the club.
Caleb said with a wry, self-deprecating smile.
I think my middle name is Mistake. Caleb Mistake Odell.
Ty chuckled, but then his expression grew more serious, more thoughtful. He looked at Caleb, and then at his own hands, resting on the top rail of the fence. He thought about the years he had lost, the precious, ordinary moments that had been stolen from him. He thought about the absolute terror of almost losing Amy for good, not to death, but to his own fear and stupidity. And he thought about Caleb, his best friend, who was on the verge of making the same mistake, of letting a second chance with the love of his life slip away because of fear and confusion. A new, wild, and almost manic energy sparked in Ty's eyes. It was the energy of a man who had been to the edge of the abyss and had come back. A man who now understood with a terrifying clarity just how precious and how short life really was.
You know what our problem is?
He said, turning to Caleb, his voice suddenly full of a strange, intense fire.
Where do I start? We're impulsive, we're stubborn,
No, man. That's not it. Our problem is that we wait. We get scared. We think and we second guess. And we let the best things in our lives get complicated because we're too afraid to just do the thing. We've wasted enough time. Life is too short to be scared.
Caleb looked at him, confused by his friend's sudden, passionate intensity.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about no more waiting, no more doubts, no more leaving cowardly notes on a kitchen counter.
He took a step closer, his eyes blazing with the conviction of his bizarre, brilliant idea.
I'm talking about us writing the next chapter ourselves. A big, bold, undeniable chapter. What if we both just do it?
Do what? Join the circus? That seems to be about our speed.
No? Propose.
The word dropped into the quiet morning air, and Caleb just stared at him, his mouth slightly agape, as if Ty had just started speaking a foreign language.
Propose? Are you insane?
Think about it.
Ty said, his energy infectious, his hands gesturing emphatically.
I'm going to propose to Amy. All over again. Not to get our old life back, but to start a new one. A proposal for the life we're going to build now, on a foundation of truth. A real new beginning.
Okay, that actually makes a crazy kind of sense for you. But me? Propose to Ashley? Ty, were you not listening to me? I just woke up in her bed and ran away like a thief in the night. I left a 3-word note like a terrified teenager. She probably hates me right now. And you want me to go back there with a ring?
Exactly.
Ty said, his grin widening.
That's exactly why you have to. A phone call. An apology. That's weak. That's more talking. More maybes. You know what isn't weak? You showing up on her doorstep, looking her in the eye, and proving that you're not the same scared kid who walked away all those years ago. You're a man who knows what he wants, and you're not afraid to fight for it. It's a grand gesture, man. It's the one thing she would never ever expect. It's the one thing that will cut through all the years of doubt and regret and prove that you are 100% serious.
Ty's argument, as insane as it was, began to make a strange kind of sense. Caleb thought about Ashley, about the profound, undeniable connection he had felt with her. He thought about his own lonely, quiet life. He was tired of being scared. He was tired of being a mess. The idea of doing something so bold, so definitive, so utterly romantic, it was terrifying, and it was also the most exciting thing he had ever heard. He looked at Ty, at the fierce, unwavering conviction in his best friend's eyes, and he felt himself getting swept up in the beautiful, crazy audacity of the plan. A slow, disbelieving grin began to spread across his own face.
You are a complete madman, Borden. You know that, right? Utterly insane.
So is that a yes?
Caleb let out a loud, incredulous laugh, the sound full of a wild, newfound hope. He stuck out his hand.
Let's do it.
Ty gripped his hand, and they sealed their shocking, romantic pact with a firm, powerful handshake. They were two best friends, two brothers in arms, two glorious hot messes, and they were about to embark on the most insane and important mission of their lives.